Well, how do we get where we are? There's no simple answer to that, but credit must be given to Brisbane's Courier Mail newspaper, and they have a magnificent 32-page souvenir lift-out tomorrow, including Behind the Bid. Let's go behind the bid. To the man you hear on this program, Peter Gleeson, and the editor up there, Chris Jones. They both join me. Gleeson's at the Gold Coast, Chris is in Brisbane. Gleeson, when did you start cranking this up in Brisbane in order to create public awareness?
It was around 2014, Alan. The Council of Mayors, led by former Brisbane Lord Mayor Graham Quirk, he decided that a feasibility study was in order to see whether or not Queensland, Brisbane, southeast Queensland in particular, had the ability to host the 2032 Games. In fact, they were after 2028, but when they announced Paris in 2024 and Los Angeles in 28, they switched to 32. What happened was, in 1985, 35 years ago, Brisbane launched a bid for the 92 Olympics, but lost easily to Barcelona. So back in 2014, Quirk and Mark Jamieson, the then Sunshine Coast Mayor, still the Sunshine Coast Mayor, decided, let's have a red-hot go. They went cheekily to Bach, Thomas Bach, the IOC President, in 2014 and said, listen, Thomas, we really want to host the Olympics, but the big mega cities, you know, the Tokyos, the Los Angeles, the Parises have got too much on us. You need to reform the process. Bach had won the presidency in 2013 off the back of reforming the bidding process. He was sick of the Samaranch days of corruption, Cartier watches at the end of beds, and so away they went. And every time the IOC raised the bar, Alan, they got the green light. The box was ticked. And then in September 2019, the Premier Annastacia Palaszczuk went to Lausanne in Switzerland with a group of journalists and John O'Neill and others, including John Coates, and said, we're ready, we want to do it. The IOC were incredibly, incredibly impressed with that particular presentation. But let me tell you one thing, Alan. The thing that got this over the line, and I will argue this forever, the relationship between Thomas Bach, the President, and let's face it, when Bach said he thought Brisbane was the way to go, that's when it really took off. The relationship between Bach and Annastacia Palaszczuk was real. He trusts her to deliver on this particular project, and that, I think, is the primary reason. She eyeballed him, he eyeballed her, and that's how they got.
Well, let's go to Chris, who is the editor of the Courier Mail. Chris, I know you did a hell of a job and a wonderful edition coming out tomorrow, but how much arm twisting had to be done? Just explain to our viewers the funding structure.
Well, and that is the key point, and it was always going to be the key point, because Olympic Games, even the cut-price Olympic Games that the Brisbane ones will be, which is using a whole lot of existing infrastructure. We're going to, upgrade the Gabba and build a new indoor facility where the swimming will be in the centre of town. But there'll be a lot of other venues that we use for the Commonwealth Games that will be just sort of upgraded for 2032. But there's a whole lot of associated infrastructure as well that's going to cost billions of dollars, and that's the reason we've been advocating for the Olympics at the Courier Mail, is because road and rail infrastructure that the southeast corner of the state urgently needs just to deal with our growing population might not have otherwise happened had it not been for the catalyst of this Olympic Games. Because, Alan, what happens is a certain road is needed. It's not in a marginal electorate. It's going to take a long time for that road to be built, because the state will want to pay less than the feds, and the feds will be looking for the opportunity to not fund it, and it just gets caught in this. Is it 80-20? Is it 70-30? Is it 90-10? Who knows? It never seems to happen. So what they've agreed to out of this is that it's going to be a 50-50 funding model for anything that's required for the Olympics and around the Olympics. You're going to get rail to the Sunshine Coast. You're going to get a new highway to the Gold Coast, all these things that are required outside of 2 weeks of sporting events in 11 years' time. So this is the great legacy of these games, Alan.
I agree entirely. The infrastructure legacies and all. To both of you, before we go, Chris, you first, and to Gleeson after Chris, what happens now next? What happens next for Brisbane, Chris?
I think what's going to happen next is going to be a whole lot of people who are going to be jockeying desperately for positions on the organising committee, and that's going to be the forget the Tokyo Olympics, Alan. The best sporting event in the world over the next 6 months is going to be that one.
Well, Gleeson,
I reckon Gleeson might have already been sounding people out.
Gleeson, you're my nominee. I tell you what, the fireworks along the Brisbane River tonight are fantastic. But Gleeson, just a quick one. I mean, what does need to happen next?
Well, they need to set up this board. It's going to be a 17-person board, which will be a bit like herding cats. The presidency will be advertised. There will be a headhunting firm established to set up who the president will be. And it will be the Prime Minister and the Premier who will make the decisions on who makes up the board, who the president is, who the CEO is, and who are the senior executives in that. I tell you what, Alan, there's a lot of great talent in Queensland. The president must be a Queenslander. You were born in Queensland. Maybe you could be the president of the organising committee.
And before you go, to both of you, but more to you, Gleeson, young Jack McLaughlin was 21 in Rio. We've got a great record in the 1500. Can he win the gold in Tokyo?
Well, let's hope so, but I implore all your listeners and viewers to have a look at Ariana Titmus. She's the one to watch. She's going to be a superstar.
Titmus versus Ledecky. Chris, congratulations. A fabulous job and a great lift out tomorrow. 32 pages in the Courier Mail telling you all about how it happened. And
here it is.
Splendid. Yeah, there it is. He's got it. I only got the front page. There is Chris Jones, the editor, and my friend Gleeson.